Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out The Elephant's Foot, The Corpse of Chernobyl by Kyle Hill here on YouTube. Yes guys, this was recommended to me over on our Discord by Mitch, so big thank you to you Mitch. I appreciate the recommendation as always, good sir. The Elephant's Foot, I don't know much about this at all. I believe it's some type of nuclear sludge to some degree. That's basically still in the bottom of reactor number 4, which obviously occurred after the Chernobyl incidents. I believe that was in '86. I do know a little bit about Chernobyl. I have watched the HBO documentary years ago, and I have done a little bit of research on my own time. Right, I do find the disaster, I guess, kind of interesting, I suppose. But I'm not like the most informed about it, you know. I only really know like an amateur level knowledge about it, so this is going to be all really new to me. And this is the first time I'm checking out Kyle Hill as well. I've never checked out any videos of his on my own time. I've never seen any videos of his, which I feel kind of like I'm living under a rock because, you know, 2.6 million subscribers, 17 million views. Holy shit. Also, I can see right there in the description 86. Yeah, okay, good to know I was correct on that. Yeah, I don't really know what this is, so we're gonna find out here today. If you guys enjoy, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe for more content from me, and of course leave your recommendations down in the comments below. Of course, also come join our Discord if you guys want to interact with the community a little bit more. It's awesome to see you guys there, and you can post your recommendations in full links there on YouTube versus you can, or there on YouTube, there in Discord versus you can't post links here in YouTube. If you post a link in YouTube, in the YouTube comments, it's gonna get deleted, guys. So of course, if you're posting a recommendation in the comments, just tell me the name of the video and who it's by, of course, all that good stuff, and I'll look it up from there. If you post a link, it's gonna get deleted, so sorry about that. But yeah, without any further delay, guys, big thank you to all of our member, all of our Hastati, our Principe, Dagenhart, and of course our Prefects, Hobbit and Fear. I appreciate you guys. You guys inspire me to make more content for you guys every single day. Yeah, it wouldn't be possible without you guys, so yeah, big shout out to you guys. And yeah, without any further delay, guys, The Elephant's Foot, Corpse of Chernobyl by Kyle Hill here. We're going to turn on captions. Quality is 1080p. We are full screen. Without any further delay, guys, let's get it.
200 seconds. 200 seconds next to it would lead to a relatively quick death, which is better than many alternatives.
Jesus.
Spend just 30 seconds near it, and dizziness and fatigue would find you a week later. 2
Really?
minutes of exposure, and your cells would soon begin to hemorrhage. 4 minutes, vomiting, diarrhea, fever. 200 seconds in its presence, and you would have just days to live.
That's fucked. Wow. Half-life history is The Corpse of Chernobyl.
By the fall
Okay.
of 1986, emergency crews fighting to contain the nuclear disaster at the Chernobyl nuclear power
What crazy
plant
pictures,
made it into
man.
the basement. They turned a corner into a steam corridor beneath failed reactor number 4 and found not steam, but black lava that had oozed out of the core, eaten through meters of concrete,
Oh my
and settled
God.
on the floor. The largest and most famous formation in the corridor was a 2-ton wrinkled mass that their radiation sensors firmly told them not to approach.
I see.
With cameras pushed in from around a corner, the workers documented the dimly lit mass. According to readings taken at the time, the still hot portion of the molten reactor core was putting out enough radiation to give anyone within 3 feet of it a lethal dose in just 200 seconds.
That's so fucked,
This
man.
is the true story of the Elephant's Foot.
So it literally is like lava that is poured out of the reactor itself, that is melted through the concrete from the reactor itself, just with how hot it was, I'm assuming. Okay, so this is like actual just like death to be around this, straight up. So yeah, I assumed it was some type of sludge, whatever have you, but yeah, literally like lava in a sense. And I'm guessing it's cooled by today's standards. I'm not sure, maybe it hasn't, who knows? I don't know, right? Yeah, enough radiation to kill you in 200 seconds, and I wonder if that's still nowadays. It probably is. That's fucking crazy, man.
This is the true story of the Elephant's Foot.
Adopted from an essay
During
in
a routine
2013.
test on
Okay.
April 26, 1986, reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant experienced a power surge born of poor reactor design and human error, which triggered an emergency shutdown. The
Right.
shutdown did not work. The attempt to manage the surge in power and alarming increase in the core's temperature caused an even larger power surge of 12,000%. Control rods that are used to manage core temperature were inserted too late. A gross safety violation, there weren't even enough control rods in the core to begin with.
Really?
The
I didn't know
insertion into
that.
the increasingly hot core caused the rods themselves to crack and fracture, locking them in place.
Right.
Heat and power output continued to rise until the water that was used to cool the entire reactor began to vaporize, generating massive amounts of pressure.
Right.
The first explosion from the steam inside the reactor was large enough to send a 4 million pound lid of the reactor assembly through the roof of the building.
Jesus
The reactor,
Christ.
now fatally damaged.
And that was the whole thing about the tips being graphite too, is that graphite sped up acceleration to some degree, right? So when they were inserted, right, and then locked in place, the graphite tips only furthered to increase the acceleration basically as things progressed, right? So, and it was pretty immediate, I think. Not immediate, but within a couple minutes that things got really fucking bad after that, right? So, yeah, absolutely insane event. I believe like the people working at these reactors too had no idea, right? If the HBO documentary is to believe, not documentary, I guess dramatized show, because it is a dramatized show, it's not a documentary. There is some inaccuracies about that that I am aware of. And I don't want that to base my knowledge off this. But yeah, guys, somebody let me know.
Of the reactor assembly through the roof of the building. The reactor now
like they had no
damaged,
idea this was
the remaining cooling water from broken channels
capable of
seeped into the
happening,
reactor
right?
As well, flashing directly into steam as it touched the soon-to-be glowing hot nuclear fuel rods. A second, even more massive explosion followed shortly after the first, belching core material into the air, spreading fire and radioactive ash. It is estimated that the fires that rage in Reactor 4 spread 400 times more radiation than the nuclear blast that wiped Hiroshima off the map.
Jesus.
Over 160,000 square kilometers of Russia and Europe were eventually contaminated.
And that's insane. That's the thing, like nuclear radioactive particulate has been just blasted over this massive area. Like you'll never get rid of all of it. That's the problem, right? It's just so crazy to think about, right? Permanent control zone, confiscated closed zone. Yeah, man, like look at this map. That's fucking crazy.
Europe were eventually contaminated.
And it went far further than that, right?
With a glowing heart no longer shielded by tons of steel and concrete, the core could no longer be cooled. It began to melt. When you hear about a nuclear reactor melting down, it's not simply illustrative language. Without proper cooling,
literally
radioactive materials
sinks.
used as fuel get hotter and hotter due to their close proximity and continuous emission of high-energy particles.
Right.
Nuclear fuel literally heats itself up until it melts, turning into what is arguably the most dangerous substance on Earth.
Corium.
If you wanted to know what the most dangerous material ever created was, corium would be a good answer.
Okay.
At Chernobyl, the lost
Nuclear
fuel
lava.
caused a meltdown of the uranium fuel, up to a third of which was scattered into the atmosphere. Estimates vary, but up to 160,000 kilograms of uranium, radioactive in many thousands of degrees, melted and flowed into the bottom of the reactor vessel.
Jesus.
8 days later,
165,000 kilograms.
lower shield, oozing through basement pipes, pooling in steam corridors, and eating through 2 meters of steel and concrete.
My God.
The radioactive lava flow from reactor number 4 eventually cooled enough to solidify in the basement. Thousands.
I could be wrong, and again, going off of my knowledge from the HBO show, right? They created lava in the first few days, right? And that was kind of like their intention to some degree until they found out like the tanks were full. I don't know. Again, I don't want to speak on that too much because I know it's a dramatization, right? It's just the most recent thing, I guess, that I've looked up or watched about the Chernobyl disaster. So that's where I'm kind of trying to base my knowledge off of, in a sense. I know that's not great. But yeah, wasn't that kind of like on purpose, or was this like the initial, this just happened and this was not stoppable kind of thing? Or was this on purpose? They kind of created this in the first few days in an attempt to try to cool down the reactor, right? When they started dumping like sand and boron on it, if that's correct. Or was this like an initial, it just happened and there was no stopping this regardless? I'm pretty sure there was no stopping this regardless. I think the sand and boron thing kind of happened after. Just somebody clarify on that if it's not explained, please and thank you. Appreciate it.
Reactor number 4 eventually cooled enough to solidify in the basement.
Okay.
Thousands of kilograms of molten uranium oxide, sand, metal,
Jesus.
silica glass, and other materials, a composite monstrosity dubbed corium. In addition to being the world's arguably most dangerous material, it might be also the rarest artificial material. Corium is only formed in a nuclear meltdown.
Yeah.
Corium
You never
want
to see it.
Created accidentally 5 times. Once
Jesus.
in the 3 Mile Island reactor in Pennsylvania in
Oh, really?
1979.
I had no
once
idea.
at Chernobyl, and
I heard about 3 Mile Island. I didn't know that corium, like this exact substance, was actually created there, I guess, by accident. Damn, dude.
3 Mile Island reactor in Pennsylvania in 1979, once at Chernobyl, and 3 separate times during the much more recent Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster. Now I say accidentally created because there are scientists and engineers who study corium and create it on purpose. For example, this is a video of molten uranium oxide, like what would have been found beneath Chernobyl, bubbling and boiling at around 2,000 degrees Celsius at Argonne National Laboratory. Remember, this heat is self-generated. All by itself,
Self-generated 2,000 degrees.
As the surface of the sun.
That's fucking insane, bro.
Corium is never pure nuclear fuel. Rather, it's a radioactive Frankenstein.
Yeah, literally, because like look at this concrete. It just eats through it. That elapsed time. This is a really, really cool generation he's got there. But you can't stop it. 2,000 degrees. Nothing is gonna hold up 2,000 degrees. We got nothing. I don't think. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think on as far as like humans can create nowadays, there's nothing we can create that'll withstand 2,000 degree temperatures. It's just not gonna fucking happen. At least for any amount of time, right? Holy shit. Let's take a look at that graph he has playing, that time clips. That looks really good.
Corium
Time
is
lapse.
never pure nuclear fuel. Rather, it's a radioactive Frankenstein of fuel rods, fission products, the control rods in the core, concrete from
4
the floor,
hours,
steel
and
from the
look
surrounding
at that,
structures,
man.
and the chemicals created when blazing uranium reacts with air, water, and steam. Here you can see a simulation of what corium actually does, easily disintegrating concrete as it escapes confinement.
Yeah.
In the lab, corium is still terrifying but controlled and mesmerizing in a way that lava and its destructive capabilities can often be. It's almost beautiful. At Chernobyl, there was no such beauty.
No.
After the corium was done flowing, the result was an ominous collection of stalactites, stalagmites, steam valves clogged with hardened radioactive lava, and the large gray mass that would later be dubbed the elephant's foot. The elephant's foot could be the most dangerous piece of waste in the world.
I imagine there's no way to clean it
Number
up.
5, accidental.
I imagine there's zero way to clean that up. You can't even approach that shit, right? And if it's in the vents and the like air ducts, everything, there's no way you get rid of all that. That's the problem, right? Like, I imagine that's why it's still there. It's because it's so fucking deadly and it's just impossible to get rid of all of it, right? Given how much of it is probably strewn throughout the building. Fuck. That's brutal,
Most
dude.
dangerous piece of waste in the world. Of the 5 accidental corium creations, only Chernobyl's has escaped confinement.
So the ones in
Radioactive
Fukushima
atoms are
okay.
unstable atoms, while something like hydrogen
They
is
actually
just fine
contained
with
it.
a nucleus consisting of a single proton. Radioactive elements like uranium, the most common isotope of which contains 92 protons and 146 neutrons, are not so happy. Photons, electrons, protons, and neutrons are randomly ejected from the nuclei of these large atoms, transforming them until something like plutonium degrades over time into a stable element like lead.
Okay.
Particles emitted from radioactive
I was really
atoms
bad
are
at chemistry, I'm
formed
not gonna lie,
ionizing
guys.
radiation. That is, they have enough energy to rip apart the atoms and molecules they crash into, changing how they interact with other atoms and molecules, ionizing them. Non-ionizing radiation, on the other hand, like the kind emitted by your cell phone, does not have enough energy to break atomic bonds. Ionizing radiation, then, directly causes the terrible symptoms of radiation sickness by simply smashing through enough molecular machinery in your body.
Jesus.
DNA can be repaired, new cells can be generated, but with enough nanoscopic damage, cells start to function irregularly or die outright, leading to cancer or organ failure, respectively.
Wow.
Because of the way...
So you see that, eh? It literally just, with enough of it, it just kills your fucking cells. It just kills your DNA outright. Or mutates it to the point where cancers and whatnot are just gonna like riddle you. That's the problem. Wow, man. It's such a brutal thing to stop because like you got no idea, right? Like you got no idea it's happening. If there's a radiation leak, right? Like that was the problem with Chernobyl. Nobody fucking knew what exactly was going on until radiation centers in Europe and shit started like detecting the radiation coming from like Ukraine, right? And it's like, holy fuck, like it's it's one of those things where it's like you have to be very, very transparent on it because it affects everybody, right? And it's a massive, massive problem. Like, could you imagine if Chernobyl did not get contained the way it was? Like, we would have been fucked. Like, I'm not going to say humanity would have ended or anything like that, but so many people, so many millions and millions of people, billions perhaps of people nowadays, by today's standards, would have been affected. And it's just terrifying to think about. Now, I do believe nuclear energy is very decent, you know what I'm saying? I think there's risk to it, but I think it's still the safest and largest producer of power as long as you can control it and do it in a way that makes sense, right? There was nothing sane about Chernobyl, as they always say, right? They were very stupid about how they acted, and that was the Soviet Union at that time, very largely operating with no transparency.
Cancer or organ failure, respectively. Because of the way radiation damages human cells by knocking atoms and molecules out of place, death by radiation is a, relatively speaking, slow one. Fever, nausea, confusion, cancer, organ failure. Up to a point, over time, treatment does help, but extremely high doses of radiation, like the kind that would be delivered by close contact with the elephant's foot, are always a death sentence.
You just melt. You literally just melt.
The more radiation released from a mass of atoms, the more dangerous it is.
Over time.
Reports from Chernobyl estimate that immediately after formation, the elephant's foot was emitting nearly 10,000 Roentgens per hour.
Holy fuck.
It only takes about 1/10 of that rate to kill a person.
Yeah.
A single hour next to the elephant's foot would expose you to the equivalent of over 4.5 million chest x-rays all at once. Shortly after the Chernobyl meltdown, nearly 600,000 workers descended on the site to help contain the escaping radiation.
Had no idea, right?
Knowingly or not, many of these workers were making the greatest sacrifice. 134 were hospitalized with acute radiation syndrome. 28 of them died within months following the incident, and current estimates put the total number of deaths from related cancers due to the contamination across Russia and Europe somewhere between 9 and 16,000.
And see, this happened in 86, right? So you got to think a lot of these guys, because I know they brought in a lot of military at that time too, right? A lot of Red Army personnel. A lot of these guys would have been young, right? Like 18 to 25, right? So, 20, 30, 40 years later now is what we're looking at, right? 40 years later down the line, they're in their 60s. How many of them have crippling cancers and whatnot, right? Like, that's what you got to look at, right? And again, the Soviet Union did not keep an accurate tally on any of this shit for obvious reasons, right? It made them look awful because of just the catastrophe that was brought upon Europe right here. And that's not to say it was their fault. Again, the Russian people, again, they have no fault upon any of this, right? But it's just the way the Soviets governed themselves, I think, right? That was the problem with it. I think the goal of pushing blame, right? Liability, right? Whose fault is it? Where does this go, right? Instead of just fixing the problem. Again, I'm not trying to like talk about a dramatized version of it or anything, right? But like, I'm pretty sure, to my knowledge, that is roughly what happened.
Somewhere between 9 and 16,000. After the nuclear fires at Chernobyl were finally controlled, a feat which took 9 full days, workers scrambled to contain the invisible dangers of the failed core. In May,
so that's like the sand and boron, right?
Construction began on the sarcophagus, a gigantic concrete enclosure built to seal off the radiation from the outside world.
Right.
But the ruins would never be entirely contained, even after the installation of a much larger tomb in 2016.
Jesus.
The Chernobyl sarcophagus is outfitted with access points, allowing researchers to observe the core and workers to enter. In December of 1986, researchers discovered the elephant's foot. It was a couple of meters across, over 4,000 kilograms, and put out enough radiation to prevent anyone from getting near it for more than just a few seconds. But despite the dangers, we have pictures like this one of the deadly mass. How? Well, from a safe distance, workers, or liquidators as they were called, rigged up a crude wheeled camera contraption and pushed it slowly and from around a corner towards the elephant's foot.
From around a corner.
Almost never seen in discussions of the elephant's foot, was taken in 1990. That's
kind of crazy. So I wonder if like I don't know if, like, again, I'm not a scientist, right? I don't know how the radiation would work in that way from around a corner, right? So I'm guessing if it's shooting radiation off at the end of that hallway, maybe it's making contact with the end of that wall and not bouncing down the hallways, so they're able to kind of like fucking like jury rig it so they don't get like massively affected. I'm sure they're still eating something down there for sure. They're still eating some degree of radiation down there for sure, but maybe not like an utterly lethal amount. And I know like electronics and stuff start to break down in the presence of extreme radiation too, right? So I wonder if this is far enough away, maybe a zoom in on it, something to that degree. I don't know. It looks very tight. Like this looks like a very tight corridor, or maybe this is like the top of like the mount that they had the camera on. Maybe hard to say. Somebody let me know a little bit more about this photo. This is extremely interesting.
This photo, almost never seen in discussions of the elephant's foot, was taken in 1990, 4 years after the incident. The slide the photo is on was given to a Dr. Bill Zoller at the University of Washington's Department of Chemistry. The caption reads, quote, "This is a slide I obtained from the Russians. It shows what is called the elephant's foot. The Russians obtained this picture by sending a man down there with a camera. He took one picture and then came back up. I was told that he died from the radiation he had received."
Did they send him down there?
This
Damn.
picture cost a man his life.
I see.
End quote.
I see.
When
So
this
so that explains it. So even the one guy they sent down there to push around the corner, like he still died. That makes sense. Okay. Fuck.
End quote.
Brutal, man. Brutal.
When this photo of the elephant's foot was taken, 10 years after the disaster, the elephant's foot was only emitting 1/10 of the radiation it once had been. Still, nearly 500 seconds of exposure at this level would bring on mild radiation sickness, and a little over an hour of exposure would be fatal. Another photo, a timed selfie by Russian nuclear inspector Artur Korneyev, is arguably the most famous and most disturbing photo of the elephant's foot. According to an investigation by Atlas Obscura, the ghostly image of Artur is likely not due to anything spooky, just the shutter speed, as is the time-lapse-like streak from the flashlight. But the grittiness you see in the photo, that's from the radiation.
That's ionizing radiation, really? Damn, dude. That's crazy.
Over time, the elephant's foot has decomposed. It has puffed dust while its surface cracked. But more than 30 years later, it is still quite dangerous. In 2001, levels were measured that would give you a lethal dose of radiation in under 60 minutes. Extrapolating from how radiation sources degrade over time, today that deadly limit is probably a few hours, and today, the elephant's foot, once nuclear lava eating through the corpse of Chernobyl, is still hotter than the surrounding air temperature and environment thanks to the radioactive heat pulsing inside of it.
Really? Damn.
Born of human error, continually generating heat.
Oh, look at this.
Of a failed
Oh,
power
wow.
plant.
Look at this
The
footage from
elephant's
the
foot is
helicopter
still
here.
melting into the base of Chernobyl, albeit very slowly.
Wow.
If it hits groundwater, scientists still worry that it could trigger another explosion like the one that killed the core and lifted 4 million pounds like it was a paperweight, or it could leach radioactive material into the water that nearby residents drink. Long after bleeding from the core, this unique piece of waste continues to be a terrifying testament to the potential dangers of nuclear power, even though nuclear power as a whole is extremely safe. Until it is finally removed, if it ever is, the elephant's foot will be there for centuries, sitting in the dark basement of a concrete and steel sarcophagus, a symbol of one of humankind's most powerful tools gone wrong.
Literally.
Until next time.
Wow, guys. What an interesting video.
Thank you so much to the very nerdy staff at the facility for their direct and substantial support in the creation of this here video. Today especially, I want to recognize Research Assistant Jenny Dowd and Visiting Scholar Patricio Norman Buena. If you want to join the staff, if you want to drape on a silky white lab coat, talk every day with me on Discord, get behind the scenes stuff, and get episodes early, you can go to patreon.com/Kyle Hill and join the facility staff today. And hey, if you support us just enough, you get your name on Aria here each and every week. And as you can see, there's literally hundreds of you.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm
awesome to
gonna
see.
I'm gonna pass the.
That's awesome to see, guys. Great
kinda
support
have
for
to
this
take
channel.
Responsibility for this one. So I know it's going to sound like I'm tooting my own horn or reading into it, but my essay in 2013 about the elephant's foot on Nautilus got millions and millions and millions of views, the most read thing they ever had on their website. And I believe, looking to Google search results and trends, that bringing the elephant's foot back into public consciousness was kind of my doing. So I'm part of the legacy too.
Damn, dude.
Which is fine.
Very weird, eh?
Look at us. Thanks for watching.
Wow, guys, that was awesome. What a great video that was. That was the Elephant's Foot, The Corpse of Chernobyl by Kyle Hill, guys. We obviously got to leave a like on that one. We're going to sub up there. And that was a great video. I really enjoyed that, learning a little bit more about the Elephant's Foot. Again, had no idea really what it really was. I guess, yeah, just like radioactive lava to a degree, right? And again, I don't know the exact instance. I know I probably misspoke a little bit there. Somebody try to fill me in on some of the details if you guys don't mind. I'm not the most knowledgeable when it comes to Chernobyl. Again, I'll be the first to admit that type of thing. But man, I really find these types of videos interesting. If you guys want to see more Kyle Hill on the channel, of course, let me know. Let me know what you guys think of it. I really like this type of content. Big thank you to Mitch, of course, for that recommendation again on our Discord. And again, if you guys want to recommend me some actual video links, actually send the links to me, do so on Discord. Come on down, join our Discord, guys. It's awesome to see you guys there. Big thank you to all of our members, all of our Hastati, our Principe, Dagenhart, of course, our Prefects, Fear, and Hobbit. Appreciate you guys. You guys inspire me to make more content for you guys every single day. And again, it really would not be possible without you guys. So thank you to you guys for supporting the channel in that way. And yeah, without any further delay, guys, this has been Centurion, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, guys.